That's me. That's what I looked like at about 4 months into my hospital stay. That's the face that led me to loneliness. That's the face that 5, 6-year-old little kids saw as a monster. And why wouldn't they? I mean, honestly, I saw myself as a monster. That's the face that led me to hopelessness. And in my mind, there was no one in this world that could pull me out of that hopelessness. There wasn't a sweetheart strong enough. There wasn't a rope long enough to pull me out of that hole that I was in. It was deep and it was dark. Now, the hospital felt like they had to try something. They couldn't just let me. They knew that I was in a really bad place. They had to try. So they brought in my psychologist, the professional, the one that's going to help me through this. Now, he sat with me for an hour, and for an hour, he talked to me like a doctor would. And I kept telling him during that hour to leave me alone. Get out of here. You can't help me. You don't know what I'm dealing with. Yeah, you have a great education. You went to college for a long time to learn about this stuff, but you've never been on fire. How do you know what I'm dealing with? Get out of here. After an hour, he realized what he was saying was not working. So he decided he would change the subject entirely. And all of a sudden, he started talking to me about dead spiders. And I'm like, what does this guy do? Like, dead spiders, I'm already freaking out. You're a doctor, you're supposed to be really smart. And dead spiders is what you come up with. I had no idea what he was doing. Thankfully, that conversation only lasted for about 5 minutes because he realized that wasn't working either. So this time he stands up and he leaves the room. That's what I wanted him to do anyways. I wanted him to give up on me. I knew he couldn't help me. So he left. Unfortunately, he was only gone for about a minute. He comes back in the room, and this time he's carrying something. He's carrying a big glass jar full of dead spiders. Yeah, I know, right? Remember, he's a doctor. He's supposed to be super smart, and he brings dead spiders into the room of a guy who's freaking out already. Super good move. Now, when he brought those in, I had no idea what he was doing. But up to that point, I believed I was crazy. Honestly, so crazy that I was giving up. Totally giving up. Hopeless people, they do crazy things. I was hopeless, and I was making a crazy decision to just give up. But when he walked in that room, I realized, you know what, Rick, you're not crazy. He's crazy. He has no clue what he's doing with his life. He needs to sit down with a psychologist, and somebody needs to talk to him. Honestly, I really didn't know what he was doing. It took me years to figure it out. All he was doing in that moment was taking my mind so far away from the problem that I was dealing with, I forgot an hour earlier that I saw my own face, that I told my own mother that I didn't care if I lived or died. He took my mind away from that. He pushed me, and it didn't work. He pushed me again. It didn't work again. And he pushed me again, and finally he was able to pull me out of that hole that I was in, that darkness. He found a rope long enough. And when he did that, he saved my life. I said that little girl, she changed my life. That doctor, he saved my life. And yes, that's what doctors are trained to do. But they're not trained to bring a jar of dead spiders in a room. He went way outside the box. And he did something that wasn't in his training. And all he did was truly give me something that you all have. Hope.
All right, students, I'm back with my man Rick Yarish, one of the world's hope experts. And truly, this video is probably one of the most important because Coach Spector and I, Rick, were just talking about that we all have hope inside of us that we can give to other people. We talked about some of my 16th century bullies being Coach Spector and the hope that he gave me and all of the ways that people can give hope to other people. And I hope you all had some good discussions about it. But truly, this thing called hope can be a matter of life or death. Now, you shared a great story about a doctor that came into your room. He was very unconventional, but he literally saved your life with this thing called hope.
Right, so I talked about that time that I was on the ground and on fire, where it was life or death. And then I also mentioned that, it's not always life or death situations, just difficult things that we deal with in life when you need hope. Then there are those real deal, real life situations where somebody is in a life or death situation, where they absolutely need hope right this second. Like, you can't wait. You know the times where you're like, I can wait a day or two. But this is life or death. This is right now when you have to act. If that doctor hadn't come into my room that day, who knows? I might have never made it through. I might have never made it out of that hospital. Sometimes hope is a life or death situation, and sometimes we need it so badly to save our lives, just like the doctor did for me that day.
And here's my plea to you in this circle, and this could be a tough conversation. We certainly want to protect people's identity, but please, we need you to talk about the really deep root issue here and this thing called hopelessness today in your circles. And just remember these words. Please don't ever wait if you feel like someone's hopeless, if you feel like you've had a tweet, you feel like you've had a message, a text message or some other kind of electronic communications with someone, because kids certainly share their feelings that way more today than ever before. You got to get help. You got to call someone. So maybe you might even have a story that you want to share in the circle about a time that someone sent you a pretty dark, scary message. Be a great conversation piece today. Just please be careful that we keep people's identity confidential.